Hey you guys, welcome back. Today we are going to experiment. I don't know if it's going to work very well. I'm going to try to put this into a moss ball. Not necessarily the same type as we would be putting the orchids into, but this one is going to have soil in the base, and I'm going to wrap, instead of having a pot, I'm going to wrap it in some sphagnum moss. However, my sphagnum moss isn't long fiber, it's little bits. So this could prove to be really interesting. Really stressful, I'm sure. I might have to swear a few times, and I apologize in advance. I don't generally, but I don't know what's going to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some, what is this, monofilament line, fishing line. This stuff doesn't break down with moisture, so if you're going to be keeping it in the ball for a while, it's best to use something like this rather than a string, because a string, if it's kept moist, will break down over time, and then all of a sudden it'll come crashing down and come apart, and that's not something that you necessarily want to have happen. But if you want to use string, I recommend using this underneath it and then wrap it with string for effect. So anyway, we've got this. Let's get some scissors over here, because we'll need to cut that line. We've got some of the sphagnum moss. It's soaking in some water right now. Be easier to move it around. We've got a staghorn fern or elkhorn fern or whatever the heck kind of fern it is. This has been growing under the grow lights, and many of you have said, "Bill, mount that thing." So anyway, it's not getting mounted on a board. I like the idea of it growing in a big mass. I'm just going to wrap it in some moss. Let's do that. So anyway, I'll bring you in a little bit closer. You and me will be frustrated together. I thought I'd bring you along just for that purpose. And I wish this was a live stream, because I would love to hear what you have to say, your suggestions, whatever. Again, this is the first time I'm trying this, and hopefully it works. I'll bring you in a little bit closer and see what's going on. Okay, so here we are, we're down closer. What I want to do first is make a little slip knot in the fishing line. And just for reference, I know that this plant will get really, really large over time. And I know that the moss ball that I'm creating is going to be a little bit too small for a mature plant. And I really should be using wire and a board and lots of moss underneath and packing it up against. But I'm going to go this way for now, and I might switch it into a wire basket in time, but right now I don't have a lot of space, and as this grows, I'll grow with it. So we'll see how it all goes down. So we want to make a slip knot so that we can have a nice loop here. I don't know whether you're able to see it with the camera. And then as we get started making this moss ball, we're going to slip this loop over top to start the wrapping process. You'll see where my mind's at when, well, my mind is everywhere, so I don't know whether that's going to help much. So we're just going to remove this pot. Being careful not to damage anything. There we go. Look at the, I don't know if you're able to see that, but look at the mass of root. It's just a brown ball of roots. And then basically, all I'm going to do is wring out a little bit of moss. I'm going to put some moss on the floor here. Not on the floor, but you know what I mean. I'm wringing out the moss. I basically just want to cover this whole thing with moss. I'll need to get some more moss. You never really have enough, do you? Alright. So what we're going to do, we're just going to make sure that this loop thing is big enough. We're just going to tie it around. Don't worry if you can't get everything in there all at the first time. What we're going to do is we're going to use this slip knot. We're going to pull it tight Working it in there. This is just going to help you hold on to the initial amount. We might have to go with a little bit less moss to start. And then we'll tie in more moss as we go. So now we'll just start wrapping. Add more moss. Wrap it again. Add more moss. Keep wrapping. Eventually it will all come together. Oh, my fern just came apart. But see, there is roots here, so it's not dead. So I'm going to I'll keep it attached to the top, but I'll add a little bit of moss in there. I might actually attach that at the end. Because I'm just going to keep spinning it, and it won't like it so much, I'm sure. So I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to get some more moss, and we'll continue from there. Got some more moss here. I'm just going to add some more moss, get my fingers out of the way of the string. We'll make this as big as we feel like making it. Trying to continue with the round shape. Here we go. It's coming together really nicely. With the exception of the plant breaking apart. It's so funny. And sad. Alright. Alright, so how am I going to tie this up? Let me figure this out. Just going to wrap it around and then attach it to itself. And then do a little slip knotty thing that you're not able to see because I'm doing it behind the scenes. Alright, so we got that part underway. We got the moss ball. It's pretty well intact, as you can see. Now we just have a little bit of an issue with the plant itself. And it had a beautiful root system. Alright. With this one, I think I'm going to use some garden twine instead of the monofilament wire, the fishing line, because if I use this, it could cut through the plant, and that's not what I want to do. I just want it so that it's held in place, but not damaged in any way. So bear with me while I go grab some string. Okay, so I have some cotton string here. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to do a slip knot. Cotton string will be a little bit more, or a little less invasive on the plant, the poor thing. It's going through some traumatic times. Alright, so we'll do the same thing. Do a little bit of a slip knot on here. Come on, ball. Show me what you got. There we go. We'll just tighten it on there. We're gonna stick the fern on there. We're just going to wrap it in place. This one we're going to be a little bit more careful than we were with just the moss ball. Go up between. We want to make sure that there's some nice contact. Do some roundabouts as well. We'll come back up through. Happy, happy, happy. So because I've made this horrible thing happen, I'm going to make sure to keep this moss ball damp for a little while. For me, that's going to take a lot of work, because if you know me, or if you've been watching my stuff, you will know that I am a lazy gardener, and keeping things damp or watered is hard for me, but not impossible. Okay, so I got enough string, I think, on here. So we'll cut it. As you can see, it's not an exact science. Whatever works. Play with it. I'm surprised I haven't swore or got frustrated. Alright, so I'm just going to tie it in here. Tie it in a few spots. Do our best to make sure that it stays tied. There we go. Wonderful. There we go. I'm just going to cut this off a little bit. Now we can either hang this up like this with string, or we can hang it up with some wire. I've got some bonsai wire, and I think I'm going to use that. It'll give me a more stable, secure hook to hang on. So just bear with me for a second while we go get some wire. Okay, so conveniently I have a bit of bonsai wire here for my boxwood bonsai that you never ever see anymore. It's outside in the garden. And this is meant for plants, so I'm not going to worry so much about it, whether it's going to harm my plant. I'm just making a little bit of a loop. I'm just going at this as I feel right. I'm just going to run it around. It's going to spiral around the plant here. A couple of times. And then I'm going to get some excess. We'll cut. Is this soft wire? I can cut it with scissors. Oops, sorry, I'm not in frame. This is, I'm able to cut this wire with scissors. I'm just going to attach the wire in here. There we go. Now, I can tie string to this, or what I wanted to do is take some of this wire I'm going to bend it, make hooks on either side. And this way, you can hook it in right here. And I can hook it in on this side. Actually, let's just attach this in properly. I'll do the same thing on this side. Come on. There we go. We'll spin it in there, as you can see. Now I got a cute little basket to hold this. So anyway, stay tuned for more updates on this, and hopefully it survives. Again, I'm going to keep it wet for quite some time. I just came back from vacation, and I came to my tomato plants, and I have a lot of cherry tomatoes that they were on there too long, and they just started exploding. These things get really ripe really quick, and they get